In 2018, I had the privilege to explore Singapore. Well, more accurately, Southeast Asia. Here's how it went. I showed up to my new home, NTU, and that's where I met my roommate Patrick, as well as his childhood best friend Christopher. And within the next week, Renz, James, Nick, Casper, Eric, and Eric, or I guess I should say little Eric, all pretty much made up our main study abroad/exchange group. Little did we know, these were going to be the people we traveled a good part of Southeast Asia with for the rest of the semester. The first trip I took was to Batam, Indonesia, where we went wakeboarding, or at least tried to. Not a lot happened on this trip except I wanted to get a shot with my drone following somebody, but unfortunately, Patrick crashed, and then I crashed. Yep, the first time flying my drone on the trip, and it fell into some of the nastiest salt water I've ever seen. There was like dead fishes floating around everywhere, and it was bad. Luckily, two of the locals jumped in with me to help me find it, and after about 3 minutes in the water, one of them caught it floating past their leg. I got really lucky. I put it in rice right away to draw out the moisture, but it was too late. My drone was broke, which meant I couldn't bring it on our next trip. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. KL is a great little city with phenomenal food, and this was the first time all of our exchange group really got to bond. It was a lot of fun, but we were still going to school, so it could only be a weekend trip. It wasn't until recess week, which is basically just a fall break, when we had a chance to go on a full trip and really explore another country. For this trip, we flew to Jakarta, Indonesia, where we pretty much only saw a mosque and then scheduled the wrong train out. This led us to take a 7-hour taxi ride to Bandung, where we finally got a train to Yogyakarta. And in Yogyakarta, or I guess Jogjakarta, this is where we saw a couple of temples, and we also did this. Yeah, that was fun. And then we went on to Mount Bromo. At Mount Bromo, we woke up early and took a sunrise tour that overlooked the volcano. And I thought it would be a great idea to get a little drone shot of the landscape. Apparently the weather was too cold for the batteries, so it died mid-flight, and I crashed it into the side of this mountain, here. While my friends were a bit occupied taking hundreds of pictures for Instagram, I decided I was going to go look for my drone, which ended up being an awful idea. The side of the mountain was mostly lava ash and very steep, so there was really no solid ground to anchor myself with. And I ended up slipping and sliding down the face of the mountain. Well, here's me explaining what happened after I got back.
My arms. And I looked down, there's just a cliff right there. And there's one tiny little tree. And I literally wrapped my arm.
Yeah, pause. I have no idea what this black thing on my head is. Anyways, after I nearly escaped death, I didn't find my drone. And it was time to venture on to the crater of the volcano, which was amazing and definitely got the blood flowing. Especially when Patrick lost his footing with only about 2 feet of flat ground before you would basically fall straight down into the crater. So I guess I wasn't the only one who escaped death that day. I then didn't like the fact that Mount Bromo got the best of me and my drone. So I hired a local to take me back to where my drone was and help me look. And after hours and hours of searching, I found my drone. This is the look and sound of pure joy. It wasn't the fact that I had my drone again. It was the fact that after all I've been through, I finally found it. And thankfully, it still worked. These are just a few of the stories I had on my exchange. I could tell you about the craziness that happened in Thailand, the insane rip-off party boat in Ha Long Bay, Vietnam, and the time in the Philippines when we illegally crossed the ocean in what was essentially a canoe during a typhoon. But in all honesty, nothing is really special about my time abroad. I'm sure you could ask anyone else traveling, and they would have similar, if not crazier, stories than me. And that's what's so special about traveling, is no matter who you are, you can definitely get something out of it. I'm not saying that everyone needs to travel across the world to live a fulfilling life, but what I am saying is that it's absolutely insane that we live in a day and age where this is possible. That I could be some random college student who wakes up one day and decides to go to Singapore and then actually do it. I'm not gonna lie, it does take a lot of effort to build the finances, find the opportunities, and make it happen. But with that said, it shouldn't be something taken for granted. And that's probably the greatest thing I learned while traveling abroad.
Yeah.